It's a very exciting time in the history of education in Wales, with preparations continuing for Curriculum for Wales 2022. During this presentation, you will find out more about the background and context of this historic reform of education in Wales, and you will gain current knowledge and understanding of the basic principles of the new curriculum. This will ensure that you are at the forefront of delivering education at this changing time. This training offers a clear and fun introduction to the methodology and development of Curriculum for Wales 2022. During the training, you will have the opportunity to reflect on and share your current good practice in the context of the 4 purposes and the 12 pedagogical principles, to consider the implications of the new curriculum on the non-maintained sector, to receive up-to-date information on the next steps for the non-maintained sector in curriculum reform. On completion of the course, you will have a better understanding of the background and context of a Curriculum for Wales 2022, of the obvious link between the principles of the foundation phase and the principles of Curriculum for Wales 2022, of the core function of the 4 purposes and the 12 pedagogical principles within the Curriculum for Wales. And we trust that you'll feel more confident in linking some of your current practice and the expectations of the new curriculum. So, let us go back to 2012 when this change was triggered by the Programme for International Student Assessment, PISA. PISA is an international survey of the mathematics, science and reading skills of 15-year-olds. The survey showed that Wales was behind in comparison with the results of England, Scotland and Northern Ireland. The Welsh Government therefore commissioned Professor Graham Donaldson to undertake a comprehensive curricular review. Between March and December 2014, Professor Donaldson and his team had several meetings with head teachers, school managers, staff and other professionals across Wales. They visited the range of schools and settings across the whole of Wales and held discussions with pupils, parents and guardians along with other community groups. Professor Donaldson's report, Successful Futures, an independent review of the curriculum and assessment arrangements in Wales, contains 68 recommendations, all of which have been accepted by the Welsh Government. These form the basis of Curriculum for Wales 2022 and stem from the arguments that the curriculum has been overloaded and complicated and parts of it are out of date. The report states that the assessment arrangements do not contribute as they should to improving learning and that this limits the ability of schools and teachers to respond to rapidly changing needs. The national curriculum and current assessment arrangements no longer meet the needs of the children and young people of Wales. And the simple reason for this is that the origins of our current curriculum lie in the Education Act 1988, created by Westminster in a very different world. If we look back to 1988, it was a world that existed without the World Wide Web, before the era of the mobile phone and PowerPoint, and the wall separating East and West Berlin still stood. We were only just beginning to realise that climate problems were threatening our planet and there were few coffee shops in the streets. If you happened to encounter a cafe, it was perfectly normal for the place to be full of cigarette smoke. In considering all of this, it is clear that the current curriculum originating from this period is no longer purposeful or suitable for contemporary Wales. Having said this, it is vital to remember not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. During the review, Professor Donaldson learned about several positive aspects of the current curriculum, and it is clear in his report that the aim is to build upon these strengths. One of those strengths highlighted in the review is the numeracy and literacy frameworks. The frameworks became statutory in September 2013 and the aim was to ensure that learners aged 5 to 14 developed excellent literacy and numeracy skills during their time in school. The frameworks are designed to embed literacy and numeracy across the curriculum. They were curriculum planning tools to help teachers of all subjects to think about how they could plan and provide opportunities for pupils to develop literacy and numeracy skills in practical ways. These frameworks have now been adapted and updated in line with Curriculum for Wales guidance. Another strength recognised by Professor Donaldson is the Welsh Baccalaureate qualification. It is a qualification that is unique to Wales. It helps to prepare students between the ages of 14 and 19 for the world of work, for further study and for life. The Welsh Baccalaureate qualification is awarded to a student by achieving a specified combination of qualifications. The Skills Challenge Certificate, an innovative skills-based qualification, is at the heart of the Welsh Baccalaureate. The report specifically refers to the strong commitments to the Welsh language and bilingualism and to the principle of a comprehensive, inclusive education within the current system. The aim of including a Welsh dimension to the education of all young people of Wales and the focus on Welsh identity is strongly praised. The report recognises that this positive attitude has been very evident among young respondents. And crucial in moving forward towards the new curriculum, and particularly for the non-maintained sector, is this piece of the report. Taken together, all this evidence shows that there are some real strengths in the current curriculum arrangements in Wales that we can develop. Most of all, the pedagogy that underpins the foundation phase and the commitments to the Welsh language and its culture. So, the clear message is not to panic. It is important to acknowledge that what is currently happening within the sector is recognised as good practice. This has provided a sound basis for the curriculum planning and construction that has emerged from Professor Donaldson's report. Take a moment to consider what these numbers represent. The answers? These are all the different elements that are intertwined to create a curriculum for Wales 2022. There are 3 cross-curricular responsibilities, 4 purposes, 5 progression steps, 6 areas of learning and experience, 12 pedagogy principles, and 27 what matters statements. Collectively, all these elements contribute to one aim of a comprehensive curriculum that meets the ambition of every single learner, educator, and educational setting. Professor Donaldson refers to an alternative approach of looking at a curriculum in terms of the key skills, capacity, and competencies that will be acquired by children and young people. Professor Donaldson's first recommendation in his report is that the school curriculum in Wales should be defined as including all the learning experiences and assessment activities planned in pursuit of agreed purposes of education. Let us use the tree as an analogy of the new curriculum. Starting with the roots, this is what keeps the tree firmly in the ground and feeds it to ensure its prosperity. These are the 12 pedagogical principles outlined in the Successful Futures report. The need to follow these educational principles is one of the report's 64 recommendations. These 12 principles contribute to the elements that lead to good teaching. They cover subject expertise and methodology expertise, sound classroom craft skills, an understanding of the social and psychological factors that influence learning, and the ability to motivate and inspire children and young people to want to learn independently. Basically, good teaching and learning. Good teaching and learning consistently focuses on the overall purposes of the curriculum, provide challenge to all learners by encouraging them to recognise the importance of sustained effort to meet expectations that are high but achievable for them, means employing a blend of approaches including direct teaching, means employing a blend of approaches including those that promote problem-solving skills, creative and critical thinking, involves setting tasks and selecting resources that build on previous knowledge and experience and engage interest, creates authentic contexts for learning, means employing assessments for learning principles, ranges within and across areas of learning and experience, regularly reinforces cross-curriculum responsibilities including literacy, numeracy and digital competence and provides opportunities to practice them, encourages children and young people to take increasing responsibility for their own learning, supports social and emotional development and positive relationships, encourages collaboration. Take some time at this point to consider these principles in the context of your own practice. Consider how these principles can be found in action in your settings, and you can share your thoughts with your colleagues and compare your experiences. We now move on to the trunk of the tree, which gives the tree its structure and shape. It is also the tool that transports food and nutrition between the roots, the buds, and leaves. The trunk of this tree is a combination of the 6 areas of learning and experience outlined in Recommendation 5 of Successful Futures. The 6 areas of learning and experience are expressive arts, health and well-being, humanities, languages, literacy and communication, mathematics and numeracy, and science and technology. This is the organisational structure for the curriculum across the whole age range between 3 and 16. Subjects and disciplines will be grouped within these areas. All areas of learning and experience are equal and are key to achieving the purposes of the curriculum. Looking at the inside of the trunk of the tree, we see the 3 cross-curricular responsibilities. Successful Futures recognises the strength of the current numeracy and literacy frameworks. They ensure that a set of competencies and skills that underpin all forms of learning are an integral part of the curriculum. Alongside this, the recommendations in the ICT Steering Group's report to the Welsh Government and the findings of the review clearly show that digital competence is becoming more and more essential for learning and that it needs to be given the same status as numeracy and literacy within the curriculum. The cross-curricular responsibilities are therefore a key element of the curriculum. They ensure that children and young people have frequent opportunities to develop, extend, and apply them across all areas of learning and experience. Moving on to the leaves and the buds that grow on the branches. These are the what matters statements that are an integral part of all areas of learning and experience. Each area of learning and experience has between 3 and 5 statements. The statements are essential learning providers within the areas of learning and experience that are all working towards the 4 purposes. They provide conceptual stimuli for experiences, knowledge, and skills relating to subject or discipline. The statements provide clear opportunities to make links within and between areas of learning and experience, as well as being the foundation for progression. Linked to each What Matters statement are progression steps that are described at 5 points on the continuum of learning. These are broadly in line with expectations for learners at 5, 8, 11, 14 and 16. Having said this, there is an emphasis on recognising that children and young people will make progress at different speeds and that learning is similar to a journey with difficulties, diversions and spurts of progress along the way. There is a strong emphasis on the principles of assessment for learning. This ensures a clear purpose for the assessment and that it is used to promote future progress. Watching and observing the bud is the only way of knowing whether it is growing and thriving, and whether changes are needed to the nourishment it is given and its environment to ensure its prosperity. All of this leads us towards the aim and purpose of the curriculum. As the tree flourishes, it has a very important function on the earth. Successful Futures confirms the need for common purposes that apply to all children and young people that promote ambitious aspirations and determination to succeed. The purpose of the curriculum is to develop and nurture our children and young people to develop into ambitious, capable learners who are ready to learn throughout their lives, enterprising, creative contributors who are ready to play a full part in life and work, ethical, informed citizens of Wales and the world, and healthy, confident individuals who are ready to lead fulfilling lives as valued members of society. It is important to note here that these purposes are relevant and fundamental throughout a child's learning journey, whether aged 3, aged 11 or 16. It is vital that we look at the purposes in the context of the individuals within our settings. And to do this, we need to look in detail at the statements that follow the main heading of each purpose. We need to consider them carefully in the context of the children we work with. Starting with ambitious, capable learners who set themselves high standards and seek and enjoy challenges, are building a body of knowledge and have the skills to connect and apply that knowledge in different contexts, are questioning and enjoying solving problems, can communicate effectively in different forms and settings using both Welsh and English, can explain the ideas and concepts they are learning about, can use numbers effectively in different contexts, understand how to interpret data and apply mathematical concepts, use digital technologies creatively to communicate, find and analyse information, undertake research and evaluate critically what they find, and are ready to learn throughout their lives. Here are some pictures that illustrate this purpose in the context of the non-maintained sector. Take some time to consider this purpose in the context of your own practice. Consider how your settings are working towards achieving this purpose and how this is implemented there. Share your thoughts with your colleagues and compare your experiences. Moving on to the next purpose. Enterprising creative contributors who connect and apply their knowledge and skills to create ideas and products, think creatively to reframe and solve problems, identify and grasp opportunities, take measured risks, lead and play different roles in teams effectively and responsibly, express ideas and emotions through different media, give of their energy and skills so that other people will benefit, and are ready to play a full part in life and work. Here are some pictures that illustrate this purpose in the context of the non-maintained sector. Take some time to consider this purpose in the context of your own practice. Consider how your settings are working towards achieving this purpose and how this is implemented there. Share your thoughts with your colleagues and compare your experiences. Moving on to ethical informed citizens who finds, evaluates and uses evidence when forming views, engages with contemporary issues based upon their knowledge and values, who understand and exercise their human and democratic responsibilities and rights, who understand and consider the impact of their actions when making choices and acting, are knowledgeable about their culture, community, society and the world now and in the past, respects the needs and rights of others as a member of a diverse society, show their commitment to ensuring the sustainability of the planet, and ready to be citizens in Wales and the world. Here are some pictures that illustrate this purpose in the context of the non-maintained sector. Take some time to consider this purpose in the context of your own practice. Consider how your settings are working towards achieving this purpose and how this is implemented there. Share your thoughts with your colleagues and compare your experiences. And finally, let us look at healthy and confident individuals who have secure values and are establishing their spiritual and ethical beliefs, are building their mental and emotional well-being by developing confidence, resilience and empathy, apply knowledge about the impact of diet and exercise on physical and mental health in their daily lives, know how to find the information and support needed to stay safe and healthy, takes part in physical activity, takes measured decisions about lifestyle and manages risk, have the confidence to participate in performances, form positive relationships based on mutual trust and respect, face and overcome challenges, have the skills and knowledge to manage everyday life as independently as they can, and are ready to lead fulfilling lives as valued members of society. Here are some pictures that illustrate this purpose in the context of the non-maintained sector. Take some time to consider this purpose in the context of your own practice. Consider how your settings are working towards achieving this purpose and how this is implemented there. Share your thoughts with your colleagues and compare your experiences. Significant work was undertaken with Foundation Phase and ALN stakeholders in 2019 to try to ensure that the descriptions of learning in Progression Steps 1 and 2 are appropriate, and also to ensure that the curriculum planning guidance reflects the principles and pedagogy that the Foundation Phase is based on. As the work progressed, feedback was received from practitioners that additional resources needed to be made available to practitioners working with children on a pre-progression Step 1 level. Similarly, there was recognition that the design responsibilities placed on head teachers and schools by the new legislation would be unreasonable for non-maintained settings. Consideration has been given to how appropriate valid, reliable, cultural and linguistic guidance can be co-produced to support learning and development from birth to age 5 and for learners with additional learning needs. Alongside this, attention has been given to developing appropriate assessment tools, including a potential baseline. In the context of our tree, this is the input and nurture needed to ensure the development that takes place before the shoot appears from the ground. This has resulted in the creation of a new group to focus on producing enabling pathways guidance. The purpose of the work is to address rapid developmental changes that occur in children during the learning phase leading up to the progression Step 1. Consideration was also given to the needs of children with additional learning needs. This guidance will initially be for practitioners working with children aged 3 to 5 in schools and will help practitioners to prepare learners to engage with the learning outlined in Progress Phase 1. Under the guidance of Welsh Government, the new group, made up of practitioners, teachers, early years and child development specialists, inspecting bodies, consortia and local authority representatives, along with other stakeholders, has begun this work. The aim is for work to be completed and presented to a strategic steering group for consideration in autumn 2020. Rather than placing a statutory duty on individual settings to shape their curriculum, Welsh Government will work with partners to design and publish new curriculum and assessment arrangements for the sector. Alongside this, consideration will be given to the resources needed to support non-maintained settings that are not funded to provide early education. This part of curriculum development will be based on the need to articulate the development needs of children from birth to progression step 1, and will recognise and support the implementation of the ECEC approach, Early Childhood Education and Care. This work will begin in autumn 2020 with the aim of having a new draft completed by January 2021. The current foundation phase profile coincides with the foundation phase curriculum. It is used extensively to identify children's baseline and the progress made in transition. This is used by schools and non-maintained settings, including Flying Start and those working with learners with ALN. The profile is used as a statutory baseline during the first 6 weeks of entry to reception based on observational assessments, and the Welsh Government collects the data on access. As the foundation phase profile is outcome-based, this assessments tool will become redundant with the launch of the new curriculum. The role, scope, and purpose of a potential new profile will be determined as part of this work. The aim is to complete a first draft of the new assessment framework by March 2021. The aim is to complete final drafts of a curriculum and assessment framework for the non-maintained sector by April 2021. Between April 2021 and July 2021, there will be a period of consultation and piloting of the Enabling Pathways guidance and the curriculum and assessment framework for the non-maintained sector within non-maintained settings. By November 2021, the guidance for Enabling Pathways will be published, together with a curriculum and assessment framework for the non-maintained sector, ready for implementation across the sector in 2022.